Everybody keeps saying that Erika Kirk is a grieving widow, and maybe she is. The problem with the whole thing is that nobody recognized the behavior that she's shown publicly. That's the problem. Let's get into it. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, welcome back to Ivy Rose Knows. Today I want to talk about, guys, Erika Kirk and this whole show she's been putting on for everybody since Charlie's assassination, okay? I know you're going to come for me in the comments. Oh, she's a grieving widow. How can you speak about a grieving widow like that? Let me start by saying this. The behavior, the problem with people commenting and speculating and judging her on her behaviors is the fact that the public who is receiving this behavior from Erika Kirk, we're not recognizing it as grief. Let's be real. We've all grieved at some point in our life, right? We've all lost people that meant a whole lot to us. We've mourned, we've grieved, we felt all the feelings. The problem is we don't look at Erika Kirk as she's sitting there in these interviews, constant interviews. Let's be real. This woman has been on a constant PR tour since the man died, but all of these interviews she's doing, we're not recognizing that behavior as grief. We don't recognize it. That is the problem. What she is showing is not grief. Now, could she be grieving? Yeah, I'm sure she could be. But the problem is, grief isn't really an act that you have to put on for people. Grief just comes automatically. It's something that subconsciously just comes over us and we react differently to situations or we just, it takes over our personality for a little bit. We can't help but feel the feelings in the back of our head no matter what we do. You can always notice the grief in people. And that's the problem with Erika Kirk. There ain't no noticing no grief. She the fake tears. Grief doesn't need fake tears. Cry. Maybe you're not crying. Maybe you're not someone who tears up, but it's the fake. Let's be real. We all watched her. Nobody can come in here and tell me that Erika Kirk was actually crying. She wasn't crying. She was faking it. That is the issue. Why are you faking it? If you're really grieving, why do you have to fake the actions behind the emotion itself? You shouldn't have to. The emotion should come naturally. That's the problem. Now, she's out here with the fake tears and she's out here, putting on all these shows. Let's talk about some of the things she's done that I'm not seeing as grief and I'm seeing as the complete opposite. All right. Let's talk about his memorial. Y'all, that was a concert. That was a public show. That was no memorial. You came out with pyrotechnics and let's not even talk about the outfits. Okay. You came out on a stage like you were Aerosmith, like, whoa, like that's not grief. That's not, I'm here to talk about my husband's demise and making it all about Charlie. You didn't make it about Charlie. You made it about everybody else. She made it about herself, Turning Point USA, politics, all of it. Let's be real. It was all fake. Then, like, y'all, let's talk about Amfest for a second. All right. That was a shit show. That was a circus if I've ever seen one. How do you recreate the tent that your husband was assassinated in? What part of that did Erika Kirk and Turning Point USA think was a good idea? How is that showing that you're some grieving, mourning widow? Because if I lost somebody, I wouldn't want to recreate the spot in which they died. That's just wild to me. You allow people to take selfies and take pictures. That to me was disrespect. Like, did y'all not think that them recreating that tent that he died in was a complete disrespect? It was almost, I felt personally like they were mocking him almost. It was just, I don't want people taking selfies with each other like, whoa, in the spot that my husband was assassinated in. He didn't just die. He was assassinated. I don't know. There was no couth there for me. It felt very, I want to make money. It's all about money. It's all about putting on a show and a whole lot less about respecting my husband and the situation, the assassination, and all of that. So I don't align with that behavior when it comes to grief and mourning and the poor widow. Like, stop with the title. How, like stop now. So that is my problem with Erika Kirk. Then do you guys remember her? And you know what? I will put it in here for you guys to see. The whole fake, her crying over Charlie's casket.
I know. I love you. I love you so much. I love you. I love you. God bless you.
How many of us record us crying over our loved one's casket? It was so fake. Let me tell you something. If somebody videoed me over my loved one's casket, you would see a whole lot of snot, a whole lot of dripping tears, a whole lot of mumbling, and probably not making sense because who's in the mind frame? That was a whole act that she put on, and she put that on for a reason. Again, that's not grief or mourning. That's fake. That is another problem that I have. And then you're sitting there crying about everybody being so public about your husband's death, but let's all be real. You didn't stop to grieve. Erika Kirk did not stop to grieve. She did not stop to take time at home with her children and her family. That's what we all expect because that's how we would recognize grief, right? People would stop for a second. They would try and get, what is life going to be like without this loved one? Let's get into a new schedule. Let's kind of, figure out what life is like without Charlie in it. She never did that. In fact, she hopped right into selling t-shirts at memorials, putting them in a halo. Like, let's not forget that. Again, I don't think that's grief. You're charging for the t-shirts too. It was wild. You went right into a whole PR tour. You went right on stage, every interview, every news outlet, everywhere, and she hasn't stopped since. All you did was show everybody that you're putting on a show. You technically made it about you because let's be real. How many people knew who Erika Kirk was before Charlie Kirk was assassinated? And now they're literally jamming her down our throats. She's talking politics, talking religion. She's out there being an authority in all matters. We can't help but see Erika Kirk because now she's everywhere. Now all of a sudden she's somebody and she's faking it. Like, again, look at Charlie Kirk's book. Oh, Charlie Kirk finished this a month and a half ago, but you were less than 3 months after the man died. You had that book out, published all of the things, went on a whole book tour. Like, it's just wild to me. It is just wild to me, the behavior. You didn't stop and sit a second to let it sink in that your husband's never coming home. That's the problem for me. That I don't recognize that behavior as grief because I could not do that if I was grieving or mourning. Let me not get into the fact that if my husband passed away, even if it wasn't so violently, that is just makes it even worse. But if my husband passed away, I don't know that I can show my face. I don't know that I can get up out of bed for weeks on end. I don't know. I feel like I couldn't go on. And she didn't even stop. The next day, there she was. So tell me, how would you react if this was your husband? Do you recognize this behavior that she's showing? Would you be able to react the way she has? And again, people can say, well, she's a public figure, but she wasn't a public figure until Charlie Kirk was assassinated. That's the thing. She wasn't out there doing all these interviews and tours and everything else. She became a public figure after Charlie Kirk was assassinated because people allowed her to become a public figure. So tell me again, how would you react if this was your husband? Do you recognize this behavior that she's putting out there? And do you think it's wrong for people to question it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. I really do appreciate it. I'm so glad to be back with you all. I hope you all had a great holiday and a great start to the new year. I'm looking forward to doing more videos over here. Let me know what you all think. I'm just saying, guys, there's that. I'm Ivy Rose Knows. I'm out.